Hey champion guitar players, today I show you 6 ways that you can clean up sloppy guitar technique, fix sloppy playing, and eliminate unwanted string noise. Now everybody knows that if we want our playing to sound great, we've got to eradicate any sloppiness or string noise or other imperfections in our technique. Now I'll take you through the 6-step process that I use to teach my private online students from around the world. What I show you today will get you started. And if you want additional help from me and are interested in becoming a student, visit my website to get started. But in the meantime, let's grab your guitar and let's get going with today's video. So the first thing we've got to do is work to eliminate excess muscle tension from your body that causes you to make sloppy guitar playing mistakes. See, tension increases the odds of making sloppy mistakes. So we want to make sure that we get this under control. This is the most important thing you can do as a starting point to clean up sloppy playing. Because until we clean this up and fix this, well, the chance of making errors is going to be pretty high. So there's a link you can check out, should appear on the screen right now. This is for a free masterclass. It's called Total Tension Control. You can check it out later after watching this video. So the second thing we need to take care of is focused awareness. What does that mean? This means seeing, hearing, and feeling any imperfections in your guitar technique. Now, we need to do all three. We need to be able to identify, as we're playing in real time, what sloppiness is likely to look like. In other words, what's going on with our two hands that is causing sloppiness to occur. So we need to see that visually. The second thing is we want to hear it so we can identify by ear when and where sloppiness is happening. And finally, and perhaps the most important, is being able to feel sloppiness when it occurs. So here's how you basically do this, okay? When you are playing guitar and your two hands are perfectly in sync, that will feel a certain way to you, okay? And you want to practice slowly enough so that when you're playing, the two hands are totally in sync and everything is clean. And what I want you to try and do is then memorize how that feels, okay? The reason why you want to use the feeling here is because when you increase the speed and you play faster and faster, it gets harder to see flaws when they occur, and it gets substantially harder to hear flaws when they occur. Now, you may hear them, but it's harder to identify exactly where those flaws are coming from. What is the root cause of the sloppiness? But if you can rely on how it feels, because you'll know when you speed up, okay, it doesn't feel perfect the way that it did feel when I had it perfect at a slower speed. So when you increase the speed and you notice a difference in how it feels in your two hands, that is the sign that something has changed in the technique. And it's only a matter of time before mistakes and sloppiness starts creeping in. And it will feel different when it's imperfect than it will when it's perfect. All right, the third thing we need to do is determine where you need to clean up sloppiness in your guitar playing for, wherever it exists. So this tutorial will cover the two different categories of where the source of sloppiness can come from. So the first is sloppiness from notes that you want to play but didn't play perfectly, okay? Now in this category, we're talking mainly about two-hand synchronization. So if you're playing some notes on string 3 and the notes that you're attempting to play aren't very clean, they're a little bit sloppy, maybe you got some fret buzz or whatever, that usually is caused by the two hands being out of sync. They're not synchronized. Okay, so you got a two-hand sync problem in that category. Now, the second category of sloppiness, or the source of sloppiness when we play, is from notes or strings that we don't want to play, At least we don't want to play them right now, but those notes or strings are being heard anyway. And I want to spend more time focused on this category, okay? So the first thing we have to do to eliminate unwanted string noise or clean up sloppy playing from notes or strings that we are not trying to play, but yet they're making noise. So for example, let's say you're playing a note on string 3 and you hear that string 4 is making noise, or there's a string noise coming from string 2 or whatever. So here are some ways that you can eliminate this. So what we want to do is lock down the guitar. That's how I want you to see it, locking down the guitar. What does that mean? It simply means we want to mute all the other strings that we do not want to be heard in the moment. So there's a few different ways that we can do that. And one of the most important ones that I use to make there be no sound, no mistakes no sloppiness from other strings, strings 2 or 4 or whatever, when I'm playing string 3, is I use thumb muting. So what is thumb muting? I take my thumb of my picking hand and I put it right on the guitar strings like this, okay? It doesn't require any special positioning. I'm not doing anything fancy. All I'm doing, I'm taking the pick, taking my hand, and I'm just putting it flat on the guitar. That's it. That's the position. There's nothing special about it. You don't have to turn your hand in any weird way or do anything goofy with your thumb. There it is on the guitar. Now you're thumb muting. Now, if you got your guitar with you, I want you to try it. Take your hand, got the pick, do this. You should be thumb muting. However, you might not be thumb muting, because what many people do is when they put their hand on the guitar, they're not really putting their hand on the guitar. They're putting the palm on the guitar. They're putting this part on the guitar. So this part comes down, okay, and the pick is up in the air. It's not down here. See the thumb, let me move my microphone. My thumb here is down. It's on the strings. You see that? It's on the strings, literally resting on the strings. If you take your palm and you do this, where is the thumb? It's up in the air, right? It's up here, on the strings, off the strings, on the strings, off the strings. So if you do this, like you're going to rest your palm here, if you do that, you want to take your hand and flatten it out so that the thumb rests on the strings, the ones you're not playing, okay? Now, before you get into trying thumb muting, I will tell you it will only work if you hold your pick like this, okay? If you hold your pick on the side of your first finger, you hold it on the side of the finger, you let it rest there, and you take your thumb and you clamp down, thumb muting will be impossible. Why? Because the tip of your thumb is now hanging over the edge of the pick. And when that happens, this is going to start muting the very string you're trying to play if you attempt thumb muting. The thumb will be in the way. So to get the thumb out of the way, we need to have the tip of the thumb not hanging over the edge of the pick. Now, I've got another video on YouTube that will go into a lot of detail about holding the pick with this grip. So then thumb muting will be possible for you. And when you do thumb muting, you will be able to make sure 100% of the time that there is no sound coming from the lower strings. Okay, when I say no sound, I mean they're not gonna ring out. Okay, you're not gonna hear any of that. So let's say I'm playing on string 3, and I want to make sure that we don't hear strings 4, 5, and 6. Okay, you don't hear strings 4, 5, and 6. Okay, because the thumb is locking those strings down. If I move my hand over to play on string 1 or string 4, same thing. The thumb would mute all the strings on this side of the pick. Okay. Now, the thumb can only mute the lower strings with this technique. What do we do to mute the higher strings? So again, if in our example, if we're playing something on string number 3, our thumb now is muting strings 4, 5, and 6. What are we going to do to mute strings 1 and 2? Well, there are things you can do with the fretting hand, and we'll talk about that later. But right now, let's talk about the picking hand, because really you can get everything muted just with the picking hand while picking. Okay, while picking. Okay, so if I play string 3, and now I take this hand and I slap all the strings like this, you hear all the strings ringing out, right? That's not what we want. If we want to play string 3, the only string we want to be heard is string 3. And that's all you hear. So if you were in my studio here, my office, and you came behind me and you started to slap all the strings, only thing that's coming out that amp is string 3. Because the thumb is muting strings 4, 5, and 6. It's totally locked down. And the middle finger and sometimes the ring finger is resting on strings 1 and 2. It's not anchored. They're not anchored there. Okay, the fingers and the hands, the pick can move completely freely. We never want to anchor anything, because if you anchor your hand, now you restrict the free movement of your hand, your arm, the wrist, and the pick. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want any restrictions on how the hand is free to move. Okay, these fingers they're just riding along. So if we play the scale, let's say something like this. It wasn't the greatest scale in the world, but okay, something like that. The other fingers, these other guys over here, they're just going to ride along. They're going to follow the pick across the strings, muting the strings that are higher than what the pick is picking. And that's what keeps them quiet. And so you can lock down the whole guitar with the right hand, with the picking hand. Now, the left hand can also help. Okay, you can use, and you probably do this already, or you may have seen people do it. If you're playing, let's say, a note on string 3, the underside of your index finger can be used to kind of just lay on strings 1 and 2. It's not fretting strings 1 and 2. You're not doing a bar chord here, but you're playing strings, string 3 and string 2 and string 1 are muted with the underside of this finger. Now, that is a fine way to mute the strings. The problem is that when we pick this finger up, because it's no longer playing string 3, and we're using some other finger, there's a moment in time where those strings, the other strings, strings 1 and 2, are not locked down. So there's a chance that string noise could occur. We don't want that to happen, right? We want the whole guitar locked down. So the only potential sloppiness that might occur in the technique is if the hands get out of sync. Okay, that's the first category. Remember, we talked about 2 categories. The first category was sloppiness from notes you want to play but didn't play perfectly. And then the second category is sloppiness from unwanted string noise, other notes on other strings or other open strings that you don't want to play or to be heard in that moment. So muting with the right hand will by itself should take care of all of the sloppiness or unwanted string noise from that second category of potential sloppy playing. All right, the fourth thing I recommend here is to use directional picking instead of alternate picking. Now, I know that's blasphemy for some people. Some people might freak out. Did he just say don't use alternate picking and use something else? Yes, I did. So I recommend to use directional picking for many reasons. And if you want to know why I believe that directional picking is vastly superior to alternate picking, check out the link to the article that compares alternate picking with directional picking and economy picking. Read it for yourself, decide for yourself. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. That's cool either way. But if you want to reduce the chance of making sloppy mistakes, directional picking will help you to do that because of the nature of how the pick moves, where and when it moves, how much it moves, and the trajectory that it moves. Okay? So for all of those reasons, it will help to clean up or reduce sloppy playing. There are also many other benefits to directional picking over alternate picking, and you can check out that article to see all the evidence, the comparisons between the three different main big picking techniques, and decide for yourself. Okay, so the fifth thing that I want to share with you on steps to clean up sloppy guitar playing is to select one technique element to pay attention to at a time. What does that mean? That means that when you're playing guitar, there could be various causes, multiple reasons why it doesn't sound clean, where there are flaws or unwanted string noise, or maybe the two hands aren't in sync, or maybe there's some buzzing or whatever, okay? Now, you might be tempted to try to fix all of them at once, but I urge you not to do that. Just identify one cause, one element that is creating the sloppiness in the playing, and just target that one thing at a time, okay? Notice, I said one thing at a time. I did not say take one thing, focus only on that until you've mastered it, and then work on thing 2 or 3. That's not what I meant, okay? What I mean is you might spend 10 minutes focusing on just one aspect or one element of the technique that is not perfect, okay? And then after 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15, but not more than that, definitely not more than that, then move to a second or a third aspect or element or cause of the sloppy playing that you want to try to improve and fix. Okay, and maybe spend 5, 10, no more than 15 minutes on that, and then go to the next one. So by the end of an hour, if you had 4 different things, 4 different causes, it's not going to be eliminated yet in an hour, and that's okay. That's okay. Because the next hour, whether that's today or tomorrow or on the weekend or whatever, you go through the same process, and you will clean this up faster this way than either doing things completely randomly or focusing only on one thing until it's completely perfect before moving on to the second. So we need some balance there. Okay, now, as you are focusing on one aspect, it might be the two-hand synchronization, it might be the pick attack articulation, could be thumb muting, could be muting of the higher strings, could be anything that you want. Once you do that, you're going to make now small adjustments in the technique to refine that element. And if you don't know how to do that or you need help doing that, get with a great guitar teacher that helps you do that. If doing this on your own, can you do it on your own? Yes, you can, but it will take way longer. If you go down the street to your local guitar teacher in town and try and get this done, good luck with that, okay? Good luck with that. You want to find a great teacher, okay, who knows how to do this and can help you, okay? So that's my advice on that. Now, next, you want to listen, you want to look, and you want to feel your playing changing as a result. So when you start working on improving something, you should feel in your hands the difference. That's what we're aiming for. We're looking to aim for a different feeling. If you can't perceive any difference in the feel, it's not working, okay? Or it's probably not working at least, okay? The other thing is you want to be able to see something change. With your eyes, as you observe your two hands, and you might have to look at this one, okay, to fix something, you should see it look different. And finally, you want to be able to hear the difference. You need all three to really eradicate the sloppy playing and, clean things up. You need to use all three: sight, sound, and feel, okay? Feel being the most important, then sound, then sight, but they're all important, okay? Now, once you notice an improvement, you've identified, if you haven't already, at least one of the causes of sloppiness in the playing. And you want to repeat the process for the other guitar technique elements described in this video. All right, the next thing to focus on is efficiency. Because efficiency, when you play, not only will help you to increase your guitar speed without having to move your hands any faster than before, it also reduces the chance of making errors or inaccurate playing or sloppy playing or string noise, okay? The more efficiently you can move the two hands, especially the picking hand, the less opportunity there is for sloppy playing to creep in or mistakes to come in. So a few moments ago, I was talking about directional picking and why I believe directional picking will help you to clean up sloppy playing. It will also help you with many other things, not just cleaning up sloppy playing. Okay, but one of the reasons why directional picking is so effective is because it is very efficient relative to or compared to alternate picking. All right, so today we've been talking a lot about how to clean up the unwanted string noise, sloppy playing. I give you some different things to think about, some different things to do. And one of the problems that guitar players have when trying to increase their speed or build technique is that, or clean up sloppy playing, is that they play with way too much tension. And often they don't even realize that. Well, the thing is, excessive tension kills guitar speed and it increases the chance of making mistakes. Now, there are 9 different types or sources of tension that guitar players typically suffer from. Some people have all 9. Other players have less. On average, among the thousands of students I've seen over the last 35 years of teaching guitar, most players have about 6, okay? But are typically only aware of 1 or 2. And that's what keeps them stuck. It's not even being aware of what's going on and where the source of tension is, nor do they really understand on their own how damaging it can be towards their development as a player. Okay, it makes everything harder to learn, harder to master, harder to play. Well, I've got a free online training masterclass for you called Total Guitar Playing Tension Control. Okay, so you can say goodbye to tension today and experience a lifetime of bigger, better, faster, and easier guitar improvements. In this free training, it's about an hour long or so. In this free training, totally free, I'm going to reveal to you how to improve your guitar technique, speed, and fluency much faster by reducing all that tension. How? By first identifying all 9 types of tension so that you know what they all are. And number 9 is really damaging and very common. And I'm going to show you exactly how to overcome them all so that you can finally get on the fast track to playing guitar the way you want to play guitar. And during this video masterclass, you're going to discover how many of the 9 types of tension you may have and how to eliminate them one by one. We're also going to talk about how to actually eliminate them so that you do eliminate them, or at least severely reduce those sources of tension in all 9 sources by the time the class ends. Okay? Then, I'm going to practice and play your guitar in a new way so that tension doesn't creep its way back in and become problematic and you're playing all over again. And there's a lot more that we're going to cover in this video masterclass as well. Okay? So, for a limited time, this class is totally free to you. It won't be free forever, but right now it is. No strings attached. You don't have to pay anything. It's free to you. Okay? Go to my website, tomhess.net/total tension control. You'll be glad that you did.